What if I told you that 900 years ago, a philosopher predicted exactly why your savings account feels worthless, why inflation keeps destroying your money, and why the 2008 financial crisis happened? His name was Abu Hamid al-Ghazali, and he said something that should terrify every American. Hoarded money is dead money. It freezes the bloodstream of society. Almost nobody talks about this medieval genius, but his warnings about money, trust, and economic collapse are playing out in America right now, and if we don't listen, we're headed for disaster.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. Today we're diving into something completely different, ancient wisdom that's more relevant than ever. We're talking about al-Ghazali, an 11th century Islamic philosopher and economist who understood money better than most modern economists.
Here's why this matters to you in 2026. Everything al-Ghazali warned about 900 years ago is happening right now in America. He said governments would debase currency, and we're doing it. He said hoarding money kills economies, and we just lived through that. He said when trust collapses, everything collapses, and we saw it in 2008 and during the pandemic.
By the end of this video, you'll understand 3 timeless principles about money that most Americans never learn. You'll see how these ancient warnings predict modern problems, and most importantly, you'll learn actionable strategies to protect your wealth using wisdom that stood the test of 900 years. Whether you're struggling with inflation, confused about investing, or just trying to make sense of why everything feels broken, this video is for you. Let's go. The world of 1100 CE and the man who saw it all. Let's set the scene, because understanding al-Ghazali's world makes his insights even more powerful. While Europe was stumbling through the Dark Ages, the Islamic world was experiencing a golden age of trade, science, and philosophy. Picture this: massive trade routes connecting Spain to China, caravans carrying silk and spices worth fortunes, and cities like Baghdad, Cairo, and Damascus functioning as global financial centers.
Al-Ghazali lived from 1058 to 1111 CE in Persia, modern-day Iran. He wasn't just a philosopher. He was a legal scholar, theologian, and most importantly for us, an economic thinker who understood how money actually worked in society. Now this is where it gets interesting. The Islamic world of 1100 CE had already developed sophisticated financial systems that wouldn't appear in Europe for centuries. Credit systems and promissory notes, early checks, banking institutions with loans and deposits, savings accounts and transactional accounts, exchange rates for different currencies, trust-based lending partnerships.
The 3 core warnings. Al-Ghazali's economic philosophy boiled down to 3 critical insights that we're going to break down today. Money is a mirror. It has no value itself. Its worth comes entirely from what it reflects, what you can buy. Hoarding kills economies. Money locked away is dead money that freezes society's bloodstream. Trust is everything. When market trust collapses, the entire economy collapses with it. The parallel to today. Here's the crazy part. Al-Ghazali also warned about governments debasing currency, diluting the value of money by reducing precious metal content, calling it theft. He predicted it would cause people to abandon local currency for foreign money. Sound familiar? That's literally what's happening with inflation in America right now. People are fleeing dollars into Bitcoin, gold, real estate, anything that holds value better than cash. Point 1. Money as a mirror. Why your dollars feel worthless. Let's break down al-Ghazali's most important insight. Money should not be worshipped or hoarded. He compared money to a mirror. A mirror has no value on its own. Its worth comes entirely from what it reflects. What this means in plain English: a dollar bill is just paper. Bitcoin is just computer code. Even gold is just a shiny metal. None of these things have inherent value. They only have value because we agree they represent something: purchasing power, goods, services, labor.
Here's the problem in modern America. We've forgotten this. We treat money as if it's the actual wealth, when really it's just a claim on wealth. Al-Ghazali warned that when people start hoarding money for its own sake, instead of using it as a tool for exchange, society breaks down.
Real-world example: the 2008 financial crisis. Remember what happened in 2008? Banks stopped lending. People stopped spending. Money wasn't circulating. Everyone was hoarding cash because they didn't trust the system.
Al-Ghazali predicted this 900 years ago. Once trust collapses, the economy collapses with it. The stock market crashed 50%. Housing prices collapsed. Millions lost their homes. Why? Not because the physical wealth disappeared. Houses were still standing. Factories still existed. Workers still had skills. The trust disappeared. The mirror broke.
The modern parallel. Look at what's happening now with inflation. Your $50,000 salary from 2020 feels like $40,000 in 2026 purchasing power. The number on your paycheck went up, but the reflection, what you can actually buy, went down. Al-Ghazali would say, stop looking at the number. Look at what the mirror reflects.
Common mistake people make. They celebrate getting a 3% raise while real inflation is 8%. They think they're getting ahead because the number went up, but the reflection in the mirror shows they're falling behind. What financially smart people do, they measure wealth not in dollars, but in purchasing power. They ask, how many months of rent can I afford? How much food can I buy? Can I retire comfortably? The dollar amount is meaningless if it can't buy anything.
Action step for beginners. Stop tracking just your bank account balance. Start tracking your purchasing power. How many hours of work does it take to buy groceries, rent, gas? That's your real wealth. Have you ever noticed how your bank account looks bigger, but you somehow can't afford the same things? That's Al-Ghazali's mirror principle in action. Comment below if you felt this disconnect. Point 2. Dead money. Why hoarding destroys wealth. Let's talk about Al-Ghazali's second warning. Wealth locked away in chests is socially destructive. He described hoarded money as freezing the bloodstream of society. Think of money like blood in a body. Blood needs to circulate to keep you alive. If blood stops flowing to your limbs, they die. Same with money in an economy. In Al-Ghazali's time, rich merchants would hoard gold coins in chests, taking them out of circulation. This caused deflation, not enough money moving around, so prices fell, businesses failed, people lost jobs. The hoarding caused the crisis, not a shortage of actual wealth. Let's bring this to 2026 America. You've probably heard about corporations sitting on record cash reserves, trillions not being invested, wealthy individuals parking money in low-yield savings, the savings glut where too much money is parked instead of circulating, banks during COVID hoarding cash instead of lending. This is exactly what Al-Ghazali warned about. Here's where it gets crazy. During the 2020 pandemic, the personal savings rate in America shot up to 33%, the highest since the 1970s. People were hoarding money out of fear. Businesses hoarded cash. Banks hoarded reserves. What happened? The economy froze. Unemployment hit 14%. Even though the government printed trillions of dollars, it didn't help immediately because people weren't spending it. Dead money. The paradox of thrift. Economists call this the paradox of thrift. When everyone tries to save at once, the economy shrinks and everyone ends up poorer. Al-Ghazali understood this 900 years before Keynes formalized it. Real-life scenario for you. Let's say you're 30 years old with $20,000 saved. You're scared of inflation, scared of market crashes, so you keep it all in a checking account, earning 0.01% interest. Al-Ghazali would say, you think you're being safe, but you're actually guaranteeing your money dies. With 8% real inflation, that $20,000 loses $1,600 in purchasing power per year. In 5 years, it's worth only $13,400 in real terms. Your safety killed your money.
What smart people do differently, they keep their money alive by circulating it through investments, stocks, real estate, bonds, businesses. The money works for them instead of dying in an account. But here's the balance Al-Ghazali taught. He wasn't saying spend recklessly. He was saying money should be a tool for productive activity, not an end in itself. Invest it, lend it wisely. Use it to build businesses. Keep it circulating through the economy. Point 3. Trust is the foundation. Why 2008 really happened. Now let's talk about Al-Ghazali's most profound insight. Market trust is more valuable than profit. Once trust collapses, the economy collapses with it. This is the key to understanding every financial crisis in history, including the ones Americans have lived through.
The historical example. Al-Ghazali specifically warned about governments debasing currency, reducing the gold or silver content in coins to make more money. He called this theft because it destroyed trust in the currency. What happened when governments did this? People stopped accepting the local currency and switched to foreign coins or precious metals. The economy collapsed not because there was less gold, but because trust was broken.
The 2008 financial crisis through Al-Ghazali's lens. The 2008 crash wasn't really about subprime mortgages. It was about trust collapsing. Here's what happened. Banks packaged risky mortgages and sold them as safe investments. Rating agencies gave these toxic packages AAA ratings, lying. Everyone knew others were lying, but kept playing the game. When it all unraveled, nobody trusted anybody. Al-Ghazali would have seen it coming. When the moral contract between people is broken, economies don't just slow down, they collapse. The COVID-era parallel. Remember March 2020? Stock market crashed 34% in weeks. Why? The virus didn't destroy factories or kill workers en masse immediately. Trust disappeared. Trust that businesses would survive. Trust that governments could handle it. Trust that your job was secure. Trust that money would hold value. The inflation trust crisis of 2021 to 2026. Right now, Americans are losing trust in the dollar itself. The government printed 40% of all dollars in existence in 2020-2021. People watched their purchasing power collapse. Result? They're fleeing dollars into Bitcoin and crypto, up 400% plus in some years. Real estate, prices up 30 to 50% in major cities. Gold, traditional trust hedge. Foreign currencies and assets. What smart people understand. Financial markets run on trust more than fundamentals. Your bank doesn't actually have your money, they've lent it out. It only works because you trust that when you want it, they'll give it to you. The moment that trust breaks, there's a bank run. Your retirement account is just numbers on a screen representing trust that those companies will exist and be valuable in 30 years. The US dollar's value is entirely based on trust that the government won't hyperinflate it away. Trust is everything. This is why reputation matters in business, why credit scores exist, why references matter for jobs. The economy runs on trust networks. People focus on returns and forget about trust. They chase 20% returns from sketchy investments and lose everything when trust collapses.
Smart investors prioritize trust, reputation, track record, transparency over temporary high returns.
Beginner action step. Before investing in anything, stocks, crypto, real estate, a business, ask yourself, do I trust this? If the answer is hesitation, don't do it. Al-Ghazali would say the risk isn't worth it. Most people don't realize this, but every financial decision is really a trust decision. Comment below, what financial institutions or systems do you trust less now than you did 5 years ago?
Point 4. The warning for today. What happens next? Here's where we connect all 3 principles to your financial future in America. Al-Ghazali warned that when societies ignore these principles, when they debase currency, hoard money, and break trust, they collapse from the inside out. The signs are all around us. Currency debasement. The Fed has expanded the money supply 400% since 2008. Your dollars are worth less every year. Hoarding behavior. Corporations are sitting on record cash. Banks are restricting credit. Wealthy individuals are parking money in treasuries earning nothing real. Trust breakdown. Only 20% of Americans trust the government, Pew Research. Trust in banks collapsed after 2008 and hasn't recovered. Cryptocurrency exists literally because people don't trust traditional finance. Political polarization means we don't even trust each other economically.
Al-Ghazali's prediction. He said a society can survive many things, but it cannot survive injustice in economic matters. When the system becomes rigged, when trust is broken, when money is manipulated, that's when civilizations fall. The choice Americans face. We're at a crossroads. Either we continue down the path of currency debasement, wealth hoarding, and declining trust, leading to economic stagnation or collapse. Return to Al-Ghazali's principles, sound money, productive investment, and rebuilding trust. What you can control. You can't change Federal Reserve policy, but you can protect yourself by following Al-Ghazali's wisdom. Don't worship money. Focus on purchasing power, not numbers. Keep money alive. Invest productively. Don't hoard. Build and protect trust in your career, your businesses, your relationships.
4 ancient principles for modern wealth. Let's get tactical using Al-Ghazali's 900-year-old wisdom. Action number 1. Measure real wealth, not dollar amounts. This week, calculate your purchasing power instead of just looking at bank balances. Exercise. List your monthly expenses in 2020 if you have records. Compare to the same expenses today. Calculate the percentage increase. That's your real inflation rate. Then track how many hours of work does it take to afford rent, groceries, gas, healthcare. This gives you a true picture of your financial health. In action number 3, invest in trust building. In your career, build reputation for reliability. Do what you say you'll do. Create value for others. Al-Ghazali emphasized mutual benefit. Maintain transparency in your work. In your finances, build credit score, trust signal to lenders. Create emergency fund so you can be trusted not to default. Only invest in companies or assets with proven track records.
Here's the key takeaway. Al-Ghazali understood 900 years ago what most modern Americans still don't. Money is a tool, not a goal. The health of your finances depends on keeping money alive, maintaining trust, and focusing on real wealth, not numbers on a screen. The signs of economic stress he warned about are all around us. But unlike entire civilizations that ignored his warnings, you now have the knowledge to protect yourself.
If this ancient wisdom opened your eyes to modern financial problems, smash that like button. I guarantee 90% of finance YouTubers have never even heard of Al-Ghazali, so help us spread this knowledge. And if you want more videos connecting timeless wisdom to modern money management, covering everything from behavioral finance to economic history to practical investing, hit subscribe and turn on notifications. Now here's my challenge. Comment mirror if you've been focusing too much on dollar amounts and not enough on purchasing power. Comment trust if you've lost faith in traditional financial systems. I want to see where this community stands. Also tell me, what other ancient philosophers or historical figures should we cover for financial wisdom? Let's learn from the past to build a better future. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video where we're breaking down why the ancient Roman economy collapsed and the eerie parallels to America today. Peace.